came home from school earlier than expected because her drawing class was cancelled. Pushing open the door, she immediately noticed the raised voices of her father, Kevin, and his girlfriend, Jessica, coming from the living room. "Kevin, please reconsider. Sending her to a boarding school isn't a solution. She's just a child. Yes, she can be difficult at times, but remember, she's only 12, and she's still grieving her mother," Jessica pleaded. Kevin's voice, heavy with weariness and sorrow, replied, "Jessica, we've done everything we can, right? Yet nothing seems to work with her. Maybe a year at boarding school might help her learn discipline and respect, which we can't seem to instill in her." Hearing this, Sophia felt a sudden wave of dizziness, a sensation she'd been experiencing often. Still, she remained hidden, wanting to hear more. "How can you even think of such a thing, Kevin? She's your daughter," Jessica exclaimed with increasing frustration. The conversation revealed that Jessica and Kevin were debating whether to send Sophia to a boarding school. Kevin believed that it might help Sophia learn better behavior and respect. Ever since Jessica had become a part of their lives, Sophia had been resistant, even resentful, not wanting anything to do with her. It had been over 5 years since the sad departure of Kevin's wife, Ellie. Sophia was still struggling to come to terms with her mother's absence and the presence of Jessica in their lives. Rewinding to 10 years ago, Kevin's life was quite different. He was hustling, working at a friend's restaurant, waiting tables during the day, and attending evening classes. His father had always taught him to strive for 2 things in life: building a successful business and nurturing a loving family. Kevin was a determined man, always pushing forward to achieve his dreams. One day at the gym, while he was adjusting the weights on his machine, he noticed Ellie looking confused with a leg press. Seizing the chance to help, he walked over, flashing a warm smile. "Need some assistance with that?" he offered. Caught off guard but appreciative, Ellie responded, "Yes, thank you. I'm not familiar with this one." Graciously, Kevin guided her through the setup and proper usage. From that simple interaction, they struck up a conversation that flowed naturally. Ellie, a kind-hearted woman with strong values, had been in a relationship with Sean, but things didn't last, and after her daughter Sophia was born, Sean left. Ellie found herself solely responsible for their young daughter. Being an attractive person, Ellie was used to getting attention, but whenever she mentioned her past marriage and her daughter, many men would lose interest. Kevin, however, was different. "The fact that you have a daughter doesn't change how I feel about you," he told Ellie when she shared her story. Deep inside, Kevin felt it was a significant detail, but he chose not to voice that concern in front of Ellie. Kevin took his time pondering the implications. Having never been in a serious relationship before, this was new territory for him. His mother had always taught him to emphasize and to see things from others' perspectives, so he reflected on Ellie's situation. If he were raising a child alone, how would he want someone to view him? He chose understanding and compassion. Kevin appreciated Ellie's honesty about her past. It showed him that she valued transparency, which only deepened his admiration for her. Their initial encounters at the gym transformed into delightful coffee dates. The more they spent time together, the more they found shared interests, like their mutual love for outdoor adventures and an undeniable appreciation for Italian food. What puzzled Kevin, though, was Ellie's silence about her daughter Sophia. Despite being a mother, Ellie never mentioned Sophia during their dates. She didn't reschedule or prioritize her daughter over their time together. Having grown up in a large family, Kevin was familiar with the demands of raising kids. Gathering his courage one day, he asked Ellie why Sophia never came up in their conversations. "Because you never asked?" she answered simply, catching Kevin by surprise, his face turning a shade of pink. Noticing his discomfort, Ellie smiled warmly, adding, "It's okay, Kevin. I sensed your hesitation a while back. Understand this, I'm not only searching for a potential husband. If you just want to enjoy our time together without involving Sophia, that's fine. We can keep things uncomplicated." Kevin was taken aback by her candidness, not having anticipated such an open response. Feeling reassured, he surprised her by asking to meet Sophia on their upcoming date. Fast forward a month, and the trio, Kevin, Ellie, and little Sophia, were inseparable. Their weekends were filled with sunlit picnics, visits to art galleries, and even some playful dance lessons. Kevin and Ellie quickly realized that their connection was deepening into something more significant than just friendship. The more time they spent together, the clearer it became that they shared a special bond. One evening, as they dined at their go-to Italian restaurant, Kevin took a deep breath and ventured, "Do you ever think about us as, well, more than just friends?" Ellie, her eyes shining with mischief, answered, "Every day since we first met." While Kevin's parents were understanding of his choices, believing he was mature enough to make his own decisions, not everyone shared their confidence. Some friends and family members expressed their doubts about his relationship with Ellie. Uncle Dave and Aunt Jasmine were particularly vocal. Both had previously been in relationships with partners who had children and had faced challenges. Aunt Jasmine warned Kevin, "Be cautious. Children who aren't biologically yours can sometimes hold that against you. What will you do if she grows up and throws that in your face?" Uncle Dave was even more direct. He cornered Kevin one day and said, "Think twice before you dive deep into this, Kevin. Being with a woman who has a child can complicate things. When issues arise, disciplining the child isn't always straightforward. You're committing not just to Ellie, but also to her daughter. Do you truly understand what that entails?" Kevin was taken aback by the intensity of their feelings, but he knew he had to trust his judgment and feelings for Ellie and Sophia. Despite the doubters and naysayers, the trio shared a harmonious life for the next year. Kevin's affection for young Sophia grew daily, and she quickly found a special place in his heart. Tired of the constant negative comments from others, Kevin made the bold decision to move his little family to a different town for a fresh start. A year later, he and Ellie exchanged vows, with the adorable 3-year-old Sophia proudly taking on the role of ring bearer. Kevin had always envisioned that he'd find his one true love, someone he'd spend his entire life with, and on his wedding day, he was confident that he had found her in Ellie. Yet life had its own twists and turns in store for them. The years following their wedding were prosperous for the family. Ellie was a pillar of support for Kevin, always there to uplift him during his business endeavors. After facing a few setbacks, Kevin eventually established a small construction firm that, to his delight, rapidly expanded. The couple had initially decided to keep the truth about Sophia's biological father a secret until she was old enough to understand. This was their agreement for the time being. Over the next 5 years, their lives were filled with joy and success. Kevin's business flourished, becoming a renowned name in the industry. With their lives on a steady course, Kevin and Ellie began contemplating expanding their family. One evening, after they'd settled down from a warm family dinner, Ellie looked at Kevin with awareness in her eyes. "Kevin," she began, hesitating for a moment, "I've been feeling so drained recently. It's not just everyday fatigue, it's something more." Kevin, noticing the worry in her voice, gently took her hand. "What do you mean? Is everything okay?" Ellie had been deeply involved in Kevin's business lately, preparing to take the reins of the marketing department. "I thought it was just the stress of work, but it's different. I've been waking up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, burning up with fever. And now, even a simple cold seems to linger and knock me down. This isn't like me." Concerned, Kevin urged her to see a doctor. "Let's not take any chances. Let's see someone about this." At the hospital, the initial tests were inconclusive. Doctors ran a gamut of examinations, but couldn't immediately pinpoint the issue. The waiting was agonizing. It felt like an eternity before they had an answer. Finally, a somber-faced doctor approached them. "I'm afraid I have some difficult news," he began, choosing his words carefully. "Ellie, you have been diagnosed with lymphoblastic leukemia." Both Ellie and Kevin were stunned into silence, trying to process the weight of what they just heard. Kevin squeezed Ellie's hand tightly, searching for words of comfort. "We'll face this together, every step of the way. You are not alone." The diagnosis felt like a heavy weight on Kevin's shoulders. After numerous consultations and examinations, the doctors concluded that chemotherapy was the only viable option to treat Ellie's condition. The treatment sapped Ellie's strength, leaving her frail. For the subsequent 2 years, Kevin found himself juggling between the responsibilities of his business and supporting Ellie at home. Recognizing the toll the treatment took on her, Ellie made the heart-wrenching decision to step back from work and focus on spending quality time with Sophia. One evening,